Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about how I ranked first during my undergrad. I did my undergrad degree in microbiology from Pakistan, and during that time, throughout the degree, I ranked first and I got a gold medal for my undergrad degree. How I did that? While I started the degree, or even during the degree, I had no idea that I was ranking first because I didn't really know where my marks stand, and I sort of never compared with other students. I think nobody in our class did. We were not that kind of a batch. So we didn't know while it was happening. But there were certain things that I think helped me, and I've kind of noted them over the years, and I thought I would share them with anyone who might find it useful. So the first and most important thing that I did was not missing classes. I tried my best to never miss classes, especially those where I could see that the teachers are trying to give their best, and they sort of discussed a lot of things and dictated a lot of lectures. I know that if you miss a class, you could have taken the lecture from someone else, but I never really relied on someone else's notes. I was always the kind of person who would want my own notes, and who would want to like listen to the teacher while they're telling you something and note them down for myself, because I truly believe that everyone has a really different system of note taking, and I only relied on my own note taking. Unless there was a sort of emergency or I was sick, I did not miss any classes. And I think that helped a lot, because taking those classes and reading what the teachers gave and the notes and the way those teachers spoke, I sort of gained an idea of what sort of questions those teachers would be asking in the exams. Because when teachers speak, most of the lecturers, when they speak, they sort of convey their passion about the topics that most interest them and the topics that they most like. And this is something that I believe, if someone talks about a topic a lot, it is likely that they can think about a lot of questions on those topics, and they can ask different sorts of questions like memory based questions or scenario based questions. So I tried not to miss classes because I thought I could pick up hints while teachers were speaking. And this did help me, because for a lot of different subjects, whatever I thought the teacher would be asking did eventually come up in the exam. So I did get a great idea about what to expect in exams just from attending classes. And that, I think, is the number one tip for doing well in your undergrad degree, or like ranking first or doing well in your taught courses. What I did next was I made my own notes, and I always made summary notes, like, because I could not go through a lot of different content if there was just one day for the exam, because we had gaps in our exams. Like, you give one exam, then there are 2 days or one day, and then you have the next exam, and sometimes these were back to back. So I didn't want to be in a situation where I did not have time and there was a lot of content to go through, because you do need to revise before exams even if you have prepared the notes beforehand. So what I did was I prepared my own notes during the semester, and I also prepared summary notes or flashcards to use if I did not have the time during exams to go through them. And those contain like condensed points, but enough to make me remember what that topic contained. So these flashcards or these summarized notes helped me a lot. Another thing that greatly helped me in doing well during my undergrad was identifying my strengths. So I know that a lot of people say you should work more on subjects that you're weak in to enhance your abilities in those. But I did the opposite. What I did was I identified the subjects I was good at, or subjects I naturally found interesting. And then I built my knowledge on those, because I believed if I didn't like something, or something that didn't make me enjoy the subject, was less likely to become better with time. Although if I did give the time, or if I did spend considerable amount of time, I might have done well. But I truly thought that something that interests me will keep me going, and I should try to make that as my key goal or my most important topic. So what I did was I picked the subjects that I was naturally good at, or those that I found really really interesting, and I spent most time on them. I prepared the notes, and ultimately I ended up doing the best on those subjects, like subjects like virology, genetics, soil microbiology, because these were the subjects that not only I found interesting, but they sort of matched with my type of studying, because I always enjoyed scenario based questions or concept based studies, whereas there were some other subjects which I didn't do very well on, and those were subjects that required more of memory. Although my memory wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best thing, it wasn't my key strength. So subjects where you had to memorize the pathways of antibiotics, or subjects where you had to memorize the names of bacteria, a lot of different stuff, like involving a lot of memorization. I never did well on them. I was sort of above average after a lot of effort, but I never enjoyed them and ultimately didn't do the best in them. So, focusing on my strengths and doing above average in the subjects I wasn't really good at ultimately made me score very high, because if I was focusing on my strength, I was definitely the best at that particular subject. I ranked the highest for that particular subject and ranked above average for the second sort of subjects. So, when combined together, it ultimately paid off really well. Whereas if I had given more time to this and less time to my strengths, then I would have performed above average or average in both, and I would have ranked somewhere in the middle of the class. But focusing on my strengths, building on them, made me stand out. And I think that was one of the main reasons that I ranked first, because some of the subjects I had extremely high scores, which sort of negated the low scores and sort of like gave me a really good average. Although there were also certain courses where I scored about only 70% or 65%. But if I scored 90% or 88% in four subjects that I was good at, it ultimately gave me a really good average, and that is how I ranked first. Another important thing that helped me, and for this I have to thank my classmates because we were a really good bunch, and I think contributions from everyone were really important. What we used to do was rely on group studies. So every day after classes, although we had a lot of back to back classes and we were never free before 4 p.m. in the afternoon, sometimes they were even 5 p.m., what we decided was that every day we would teach each other. The person who's good at a subject would teach everyone else. And we always had a group of about 5 to 6 people, sometimes even more, where we taught each other. And if we all were average at a subject, we would just sit together, prepare notes, ask each other questions, and then prepare that subject. For example, I was good at virology and I was okay and sometimes better at genetics, so I taught these subjects to others, particularly virology, because I really loved it. I taught it sometimes to the entire class as well. And then I prepared notes, shared my notes, made summaries, helped others in learning it. And by teaching others, I learned the best. Because I was passionate about that subject, teaching it to others really helped me. It helped them, they passed, but it helped me greatly as well in return, because I did the best in that subject ultimately. I wasn't very good at clinical microbiology or immunology, where it required learning a lot of pathways. So these were the subjects that my friends taught me. And I was pathetic at biostatistics because it involved calculations. So a lot of my friends put efforts in teaching me. So, kind of having a balance with your friends and with your classmates and teaching each other really helped. I taught them what I knew, I shared my notes, and they did the same for me. So, it was a win win situation. Everyone did well. Apart from teaching each other, attending classes, and paying attention to what the teachers were saying, another thing that helped me was preparing my own notes and not relying on the presentations that teachers shared. I never ever relied on the class PPTs or the presentations, the PowerPoint presentations that teachers bring along with them, because those are just pointers. If you just rely on them, you're not going to do well on the exam. I always took them just as pointers and read from books, because during an undergrad degree, you should rely on books for concepts. So I relied on books. I issued books from library. Some of the books I bought. If I knew I would be pursuing the subjects in the long run, such as virology and genetics, I bought my own books. For every other book like biochemistry and immunology, I just photocopied contents or just got those books from the library and studied them. But in any case, for each and every subject, I relied on books. I made my own notes from books, my summary contents, and my flashcards, and then like sort of mixed everything up and used the key points from the teacher's presentation and matched my own points to expand on those points. And when I had the teacher's presentation, when I had prepared my own notes and expanded on those points that the teachers shared, I then highlighted the topics that I thought this teacher was most interested in or was most likely to ask in the exam. Now, I couldn't do this for all the subjects, because for subjects that required memory, I couldn't really judge what it was. But for subjects like virology and genetics, I sort of had an idea. And although I couldn't be 100% sure of it, I did my best on instinct and I made expanded notes on those and asked myself questions, and also went online. I relied a lot on online learning. So I did courses on certain websites when I found that they were linked to my own subject areas, and I expanded my knowledge from there as well. Although I didn't go into exhaustive details or wander away from the topic that was being taught in my own classes, but I think online learnings helped me a great deal because I always had an idea about how to pursue a subject, and university degrees have broader topics and you can learn from a variety of different sources. So, apart from this work material set in the classes, I also did my own studies and tried to prepare notes from there as well. And that helped me greatly because if a teacher has taught only about one slide or two slide or maximum 10 sentences about a topic, but then in the exam they asked that topic for about 5 marks or 8 marks, just writing 5 sentences would not have helped. So I always made my own notes, prepared them like an essay, and tested myself on those. So yeah, the next point is testing myself. I have always been quite an independent student. I never took tuitions even as a child. What I used to do from grade 3 was take my own tests, and that is how I grew up. I always used to take my own tests, and I was really good with it. So I did that during my university as well. I used to test my knowledge on particular subject areas and particular topics and then write them down. Like, I've read about a topic, I've been reading about it for quite a while, I've learned online, then I would just shut the book and then test myself on that. So that really helped me build along my knowledge. Even despite of all this, there were certain times when I was not really good at particular subject areas or particular topics, and I did sometimes leave certain topics because if I didn't get it after learning from my friends, after searching it online, and if I couldn't really memorize it after trying and after using flashcards and repetitive revisions, then I would give up on that topic. These were not very common, but it did happen with me, especially when there were no gaps between exams and I only had half a day. So I would only focus on topics that I was really good at. And sometimes I did leave one or two topics. It's not that I learned 100% of the book and went for exams, but I did focus on things that the teachers had repeatedly said in the classes, and like things that they were focused on, I did try to focus on them. The only subjects where I tried and did not do very well were where a lot of memorization was required, like drug pathways. I didn't do my best in those. I was an above average or average student in those. But yeah, so studying everything online, making my own notes, testing myself, and revising with like kind of spaced repetitions, and giving myself time to learn everything and revise with time. Studying with my friends, group studies helped a great deal because we would like test each other, ask each other questions, and kind of pull out questions at random to ask each other. Helped us learn stuff because if we were making mistakes, we were learning from those mistakes as well. And some of the things that made me do well in exams was never ever compromising on sleep. I never compromised on sleep. I couldn't do well in exams if I hadn't had at least 6 hours of sleep. So I would never stay up late. It was very rare for me to stay up late for studying for an exam. I'd rather try to wake up early during my undergrad. This dynamic changed somewhere in my master's, but up until my undergrad, I was really good at waking up early and revising because also I lived a bit further from the university and I had to travel an hour every day. So I did try to wake up early, revise along my commute to the university as well, and that was about it. So I never compromised on sleep. One more important thing that helped me in exams was my speed of writing the exam. So, because I always made handwritten notes, I did not rely on technology. I never ever believed in typing my notes because I also believe, and there's also scientific proof, that writing things down helps you remember more. So, I always made handwritten notes. I always had flashcards or papers falling out of my journals. My friend used to make fun of me that my journals have more loose sheets and flashcards than the actual journal itself. So I always made my own notes, always wrote things down. I was very quick at noting things down, and I had a quick writing speed. Although I have a really quick typing speed as well, but writing things physically, and because our exams were handwritten, practicing that helped me a lot. I never had to compromise on my answers during exams, even with time constraints, because I was good at writing answers quickly. And many a times, almost every time, I always finished my exam much before the actual exam duration. And I think that helped me a lot because it gave me the chance of then rereading whatever I have written, correcting my mistakes, although it is hard to detect your own mistakes when you're writing them down. But yeah, it still gave me time to do all of that, and I think all of this really helped me doing well. So, just to summarize, I focused on my strengths. I made my own notes. I paid attention to what the teachers were saying. I picked up tips on what they would be asking. And I was really good with that kind of intuition. It always did end up coming in exams. If I thought a teacher was focused on one particular topic, it almost always came in the exam. So that helped me a lot. And group studies, I cannot emphasize that enough. Serious group studies, testing your friends, and teaching others. I think I learned the best from teaching others, because if I knew I had to teach a topic to someone, I would pay more attention to it. And I really wanted to help others, so I wanted to be the best at it. Although I wasn't aiming for perfection, that is a circle that never ends, but I tried to aim higher, to achieve higher, to help others better, because my friends did the same for me. They taught me, and I think I wouldn't have passed my biostatistics if not for my friends. So it's a lot of thanks to them as well. And I think teaching others and group studies were the best possible thing I did during my undergrad. So yeah, I hope you find this helpful and it helps you do better in your own exams. If you have any further questions, please comment down below and I would be happy to help you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so, and I will see you in the next video.